Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November, what day is this? 15th meeting of the Hyde Park Planning Board. Please take note of all the exits around the room in case of emergency and now join us as we salute the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is a new public hearing for Creek Park Mobile Home Park. As a reminder, the applicants are seeking a site plan amendment approval to add an additional trailer. The permit that governs this does allow for the addition of the trailer, and it's going in a location where none has been before. Making a motion to open the public hearing.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Welcome back, Mr. Paval. And I'm going to let you do the introduction to this because we have a couple members of the audience who came here, I think, to speak.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Bill Poval. I'm the engineer for the applicant, which is Creek Park Mobile Homes. We're before the board tonight to get the 22nd home within the park. This park, a very long time ago, had 22 homes. There's a license from the town that's issued for 22 homes. However, over the course of time, one of the homes was eliminated or removed from its spot within the park. And going back and looking at some old aerials, it looks like there was a cluster more in this middle part of the park. So there's been 21 for a long period of time. Creek Park is in the process of upgrading a lot of the homes, which they've been replacing. And as they've been replacing them, they've been putting them in the same place. However, they've been shifting them closer to the internal road and away from the back property line. So we're here tonight to get the 22nd home, which again was at one point in time in the center part of the park, over in a clear area to the northeast. And this would be a double wide home. It's shorter in length than most of the other homes, just so it fits in the space that's in that area. And that's essentially what's before the board.
Thank you, Mr. Poval. Well, there are no consultants here tonight. Before I go to the board to get comment, before we open it up to the public, two items of note. First, as a courtesy, we referred this to the Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health. I take it you received a copy of the letter that we got. Then just to put it into the record, this office has no record of any approvals for the existing on-site sewage disposal system. I find that surprising, but I take it you're going to deal with this?
Correct.
Because it's been operating for a long time, and DOH generally takes a look at things if they're out of compliance, so that surprised me. The other item of note is that we were required to refer this to Dutchess County Planning Department because of its proximity to the historic site around it, and it's on a state highway, so we got a comment that it's of local concern only, so nothing from them. Would anyone from the board like to add anything to this before we hear from the public? No. Okay, we had a couple people sign up. I'm going to hope I pronounce your last name correctly, Donna and Ed Percoy. Do you want to come on up and speak?
I just wanted to say we own the property at 577 Creek Road, and I just wanted to make sure that
Can you sort of point to that over here for us?
we are right here.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So this property has been in the family for.
We're going to need you to come over and
Yeah,
speak
for the
into
microphone,
the
sorry.
The property's been in the family for over 50 years.
50 years, yeah. My parents bought the house in 1957.
Please speak into the microphone.
I said my parents bought the house in 1957, and I think the trailer park was put in around 1960. A gentleman named Fred Green put it in. And
So
now there was
but
never a
there's
trailer.
never been a
trailer there,
here.
so
Right.
And so
I just
is there going to be enough, I don't know what the
Enough
legal
space.
requirements is from our backyard. to
So
where they
that's one of
want
the
to place
things that
this.
we're going to have Mr. Povall put on the plans is there are things called rear and side yard setbacks.
Right.
And to make certain that, I believe that this is well within the side yard setback, we're going to ask for some of these to be, or rear yard setbacks to be shown as well, delineated. In addition, we touched on this at the last meeting. We're looking to add some landscaping in through here, just to soften this from you. There is, I need to point out that there's no requirement that there be screening between two residential uses, and this is residence to residence. The screening is only required by our code if it's non-residential or commercial between two residents. But in this case, your associate, Mr. Povall, Mr. Jordan, I think it was, seemed to think that that would be okay to try to put maybe some evergreens, some non-deciduous trees in through here, and something that maybe the deer won't eat, like arborvitae, so you don't want to have it chewed up, et cetera. Otherwise, from when Ms. Moss, our zoning administrator, and I also did an aerial search over history, we don't find that there was ever anything in this location. It was always kind of left empty.
empty, yeah.
So we were going to, that's, in the next iteration of the plan, we were going to ask for some landscaping, both to screen from your property as well as from what is essentially Creek Road right there as well.
Right. Well, there's a stream too that runs along the, next to the property, and that seems to be a problem. Like with the hurricane, we had Hurricane Irene, that whole area flooded. My backyard flooded.
A stream,
So there's a drain that runs underneath the side road, and it runs adjacent to the property, and that runs along my property into a catch basin. It runs across Creek Road too.
so this is a man-made swale for
No, it
drainage
comes across
purposes?
from 9G,
Okay.
and it goes under the side road, and it's gonna run right, it runs right along.
Well, you don't have a stream label there, do
see the
you?
water run there, right? Yes. Yeah, okay.
Do you have a stream label there somewhere?
I did not see a stream, but John knows more about it than I do. This is John Lois with,
Hi,
Creek Park.
Welcome back, Mr. Lewis. Yes, he was here last time.
thank you. This is Creek Road right here that connects also with
Creek Road.
Yeah,
Good old
And
Hyde Park.
there's-
We have two roads named the same that intersect.
go figure. There's a drain that comes from across the street and comes and flows in this direction, and then it continues along the property. And then from here, I believe it shoots across the street.
Across the street on Creek Road, it goes.
Sometimes it backs up there. We've actually talked about this, about trying to create a more delineated swale to allow the water to access across the street.
I'm still confused. When you say there's a drain down
There's a,
down there,
yeah, it
a drain should be connected to an underground pipe. It shouldn't just be sitting there overflowing.
It's a culvert.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry, I
Sorry, it's a
misspeaking.
culvert. Okay.
There's a culvert that comes across the street, and then the water generally flows here, but it hasn't really been maintained properly. It should have get a grate all in there and make it so that the water has the ability to get across to the, what would be the, I guess, the east side of Creek Park.
Yeah, it runs down.
Or Creek
towards
Road.
Walk Hill. It
So-
runs across my property, it runs down.
For the record, I need to say that I don't think that the addition of another mobile home will be increasing stormwater runoff perceptibly. But what we can do is have our town engineer, our consultants are actually all away tonight, but the engineer normally sits with us. I can have Mr. Sotero, Pete Sotero, our town engineer, as well as our highway superintendent and our new highway superintendent-elect, take a look and see what we can do over there, because it sounds like this is town maintenance.
They put a new pipe in my front yard to run across Creek Road back when they redid Creek Road, maybe
Yeah.
12 years ago. But when we had Hurricane Irene, we had 9 inches of rain. I
Well,
had 3 feet
right,
of water,
that's-
3 feet of water in my basement.
That used to be considered an unusual storm surge.
Yeah.
These days, we seem to have these not every 100 years, but every 10 day, every year.
Yeah.
Uh,
What percentage of the time is it running? In other words, in a normal
It's
year?
dry right now.
It's
We
dry
get a
right
lot of
now.
rain. We get a lot of snow in the wintertime, and we
Okay.
get a wet
So
spring.
it's more of a, that's to get rid of excess water
What comes
as opposed to
across the
running
night?
every day.
Yeah, it flows underneath 9G, and then it comes underneath the pipe into the mobile home park.
Yeah.
I
You know
actually,
where it
I
goes
actually
at.
think it may actually start on the other side of 9G, on
Yeah, it
the
comes
west
on
side of
the west side of
9G,
and it flows
comes back
east.
across
It
and,
flows right towards the the mobile home park.
But the culvert is half full
Okay.
coming across, so it's
As
not.
I said, this wouldn't
yeah.
be, so,
It's a maintenance thing, it seems like.
right, what we would, so what the planning board does is ensure that if something is changed to the site plan itself, we ensure that it's not going to increase stormwater runoff. We don't allow it to go into other people's properties, et cetera. But if it's originating on a state road and then it's traveling under and across town road and then through private property, I need to have the engineer and the town highway superintendent take a look at this.
Well, the state put the pipe in underneath the sidewalk.
Of course they did. That's why I said
I'm
it's,
saying when they did that, that made it worse. That's when I started getting water in my basement, my backyard flooded out.
yeah, I used to,
So, I mean, by clearing that out, it's gonna be worse for me, the pipe, because it's a huge pipe.
do you know what the diameter of it is? I can find that out from the
I
state.
don't know. I'm just saying, if they clear, you said it's half full now, but I'm saying if they clear
No,
that
no,
out,
it's,
I'm
sand,
gonna get
yeah.
even more water.
Yeah, we'll get Pete to look at it. And
Yep.
He's
Yeah.
an expert at that kind of thing, and
Okay.
he'll make sure that your property is either improved or not affected.
Right. Anything else on this application you'd like to discuss? Okay. We're going to keep the public hearing open because they're going to be submitting a revised plan that'll show some different additional landscaping. So it's likely that we'll put this on the agenda for December 6th. If you want to come back or watch on TV, whichever you'd like, you can hear what we're going to be doing. Okay?
Okay. All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Next person would like to speak, just come up and speak into the microphone and state your name and address. That's you.
Good evening. My name is Fred Cruz, 571 Creek Road, and I guess you pretty much covered, I guess, the major concern of that area right there, that I've learned that within the past 6 years we've been there, flooding happens to be an issue there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get a breakdown as to the reason why until, of course, this hearing now, and I understand now a little bit more than I ever did before.
Yeah, I don't want to put this where I'm not insulting anybody at the state, but DOT kind of does its own thing. They have higher jurisdiction than what the town does, so we can't tell them what to do, just like they can't tell the feds what to do. So when they come in, they're engineers, and again, I don't mean to disparage them, but for anybody who's tried to go through the loop-de-loops to get through to the arterial on Poughkeepsie, they're not always thinking about long-term implications of what they propose. In this case, it looks as though they didn't coordinate with the town, and they probably just put it in and didn't, the law of unintended consequences. So we'll have our engineer take a look at it. None of us are, we have had engineers up here before, but none of us are engineers right now. So he'd be the best to take a look at it with the cooperation of the highway superintendent.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And by the way, sir, where do you live? 571, so you're
571 Creek, yes.
somewhere down here, or I take it?
575.
This would be going south this way? Yeah, that's 577, so you're here, or? Okay. Okay, we can find it on the site plan maps we have as well. Thank you. So if you're being flooded way over here too, then that means that all of these properties at some point have seasonal inundation?
Everyone in that whole area has basically been complaining about the flooding, the water table being high, but, you know, that's what we took it to be. Ideally, it could be maybe something that happened in the past that we weren't aware of, that, we have no idea.
No. I'll also tell you that the subdivision that's around, I mean, it's called Creek Road because it's near a creek.
Right.
And a lot of the neighbors, not you guys, but on the other side, I actually went in thigh-high and waders and walked from Valkill all the way down to the river with the DEC 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, I remember that.
And one of the things, I understand why people want to clear out their backyard so they can see the water, but when you remove trees, et cetera, along a tributary, then it loses the absorption. The trees aren't sucking up the water. There's nothing to wick it up. So when the waters rise, they flood. And in our case now, the zoning is such for subdivisions even that we don't allow things to be that close to a creek so that there's a natural buffer there. And this aligns with what the Porquois were saying too. The more that's cut out and removed, the more natural plant material, it's going to cause more water to stay in that spot or be pushed down along the way, depending. So, like I said, we'll make sure that we talk about. Ironically, Mr. Sotero said, "Do you need me?" I'm sure this is going to be easy, and of course, I said, "Sure, stay home tonight," because he has further meetings this week. So, he'll be surprised, I think, when I call him tonight when I get home and tell him, oh, nope, got some work to do. But this is why we have public hearings. As I said, I'm not sure the actual application as such is going to increase stormwater runoff, but this is something that we can try to solve at the same time for the benefit of residents. So would anyone else like to speak about the application? Come on up. Just state your name for the record.
My apologies.
It's okay. You don't have to sign, but no, first state your name for the record.
Microphone.
Oh.
Ryan Keefe, 569 Creek Road.
The reason I always said you need to speak in the microphone is we're televised, and they can't hear you from over there.
I'll speak again.
It's okay. Ryan K.
Keefe.
Okay. Thank you.
69. Do I need to say it again?
Nope, I got it.
All right,
Oh.
good deal. So you guys got 22 license for 22? So I know you currently don't have a 10, right? And what, a 21? Those are the two that are currently out? Because you just put in an 11, right?
Yeah, lot number 10 is at the end.
Is which one are you gonna replace? Right, because I assume you can't,
It's
you
not
put
a
in a
repl-
new one, you're gonna have 20.
It's not a replacement. He has 20 units there now,
Yeah,
so he'll have 20.
which ones are you gonna keep out in the future is what I mean, to not exceed 22 if he adds this additional 23rd?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
This isn't a
there's,
23rd, this is a 22nd.
Right now, there's a license for 22 that the town issues for mobile home parks for a maximum number. So right now, there's 21.
Yeah.
So this is the 22nd home,
Oh, okay.
which there's not a lot of information, but it appeared at some point in time, it may have been in the middle area, because there was a lot of homes at one point in time that were all clustered actually behind your home. So what they've been trying to do is spread them out, give more buffer between the homes, and just generally, make it a nicer place for the neighborhood.
Oh, absolutely.
As well as, when they do replace the homes, they have been pulling them further away from the property line, which would be the rear of your.
That's why we asked them to show the delineation for the rear property, the setbacks, so that we want to ensure that there's nothing within the setbacks that are there now, so that there's more of a buffer between the single-family homes and the mobile homes.
Oh, absolutely. So when you do 10, it will be pulled forward further than it shows there, right?
Actually,
Go ahead, but just make sure you speak in the microphone.
Here, we'll just sit here.
Yes, just grab that one.
We can all get cozy. I don't bite.
I'm a little hungry, so.
Oh, me too.
By the way, the nice thing is that we sometimes have to separate applicants from public speakers. Just saying, it's happening.
Actually, lot number 10, which
Yeah.
is that directly behind your house? That
Yeah,
one?
yeah, that's the one's labeled.
If I recall, some of the houses when the community was originally built were as close as a foot and a half
Oh,
away
yeah,
from the
they
property
very much
line.
grew up there,
So,
it
yeah.
was.
So, and actually, number 10 is one of the ones that's very close there. Was the original one. When we removed that home, we're actually looking to get further away. I think it's now like around 6 or 7 feet,
Okay.
as opposed to at one time it was under 2. That's not a huge improvement, but
Sure,
it's
hey,
something.
no, every little bit helps, sure.
But again, when the original park was built, some of the houses, I think were as close as 17 feet apart. If I recall, that was a number that, on one of the original houses. We're now trying to get better space in between them so that we can get off-street parking and give the people a little bit nicer yard.
No, I mean, I commend you guys otherwise. They're not much nicer looking trailers than they used to be.
I stated this into the record last time, so let me repeat. Our zoning administrator is very detail-oriented, and she's very parsimonious, meaning stingy with compliments. And I'll add finally that she and Mr. Lois's father, another Mr. Lois, have had it before. But so when she gives praise, it's pretty rare. And she's been praising them now for what they're doing. They haven't owned a series of mobile home parks, and they're actually undertaking improvements to each one. So there's no more wrangling anymore. She's now happy to work with them. I believe, I am in total agreement. This is probably why you're standing here and not, that's why I've said sometimes we have a public comment that's negative and kind of yelling at the applicants, which I say, go sit, just address us. But in this case, since you're speaking both civilly and noticing that there have been improvements, and I think a lot of us have gone through this neighborhood. I've lived here almost 25 years, I never noticed it. It's just hidden enough that I hadn't seen it, so when I went through, I was pleasantly surprised that it's neatened up now. I don't know what it was like before, but I do know that when I went through the aerial shots with Ms. Moss, it was pretty much a hodgepodge way back when. I mean, nothing was lined up, things were crammed in there. Also because 3 of us have served on the board for 12 and 13 years, which is pretty long, trust me. This is our first mobile home application in all that time. So I had to go through and read the code to discover things as when they replace them, they can't be over 10 years old if they're being replaced. There's a lot of stuff that's in there that Ms. Moss automatically looks at, and when the permit is renewed, she ensures that all those sections of the code are adhered to each time. So the permit that they were talking about is not just, oh yeah, sure, here. They actually look through it every time to make sure that they're adhering. So at any rate, so anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think we're pretty good.
So you have flooding issues too, I take it?
Actually, not really. I do
Okay.
pretty good. A couple downspout concerns once in a while, but that's downspouts.
Well, we're still going to have the engineer take a look
Sure,
at it.
that wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Can't hurt.
Good. No, good.
Maybe my downspouts won't be such an issue. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak? I just realized you're probably a couple, so you're not here to speak separately. Okay. Comments from the board? Let me start to my right. Ms. DiNapoli, anything?
No comments.
Mr. Oliver?
I actually did take a ride through the mobile home park a couple of weeks ago and noticed there seems to be a decent amount of screening behind the homes along Creek Road that kind of abut the backs of the trailers. It seems like in the backyards there's a lot of trees and brush and stuff, so I don't know if you can really fit more screening in there. And it looks like they're doing a good job neating it up.
As I said, I was just talking about in through here, where I believe there's a little bit of opening in through here along Creek Road, and just some sort of evergreens. Again, if you want me to get fancy, I can send you a list of plants that do wick up moisture. American cranberry, which is a viburnum, it's a bog plant. It's good. It provides screening. It is deciduous, so it wouldn't screen out all throughout the year, but it helps wick up plants. Look, everyone's nodding in the back. I'll send you that list, Bill. Chris is a landscaper, and I'm a retired now New York State Master Gardener, and Tad is a landscape architect. So between us, we'll get you a list of plants that we think would be suitable. It'll just help, no matter what else. Thank you, Chris. Ms. Dexter?
No comments.
Mr. Pickett?
No comment.
Mr. Murphy?
No comment?
Ms. Weiser?
No comment.
Okay. So for the purposes of this meeting, would you like us to go ahead and just continue this or adjourn this to December 6th, the first meeting? So after you get through the variance application process?
Correct.
And you have a copy of the letter that we sent recommending that they grant the variance, I hope? If not, we can have someone send it to you.
I did not see that.
Bill, I don't have your email. I looked and looked. I thought it was B. Poval and then W. Poval, but
It's WHP.
I knew it. Okay. I'll find your email and send the letter over to you tomorrow and send you a list
Go
as
to
well.
povalengineering.com. My email
Is on there?
is all on there.
Okay. I'll get you a list of suitable plants plus the letter.
Yeah, I'm out of cards right now. but
That's okay.
If you go online.
I over 12 years, I have a lot of emails, so I know I have yours in there. I just forgot there was an initial with the H. And in the meantime, take a look at adding some landscape, some screening landscaping, and I'll talk to Mr. Sotero, and you'll need to address the Department of Health's letter that they have no record of your sewage disposal systems. So other than that, make it a motion to continue the public hearing or adjourn the public hearing to December 6th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, happy Thanksgiving, and a happy Thanksgiving to all those who came out. Thank you. We appreciate your comments.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving as well.
Thanks. The next item on the agenda is a new sign permit for a new business, Artistic Hair Lounge. This will be going, I believe,
Jeffrey.
speak about it, Mr. Herzlinger, speak about it.
Three
Is
young
this where the
ladies.
male ego used to be?
Excuse me?
Is this where the male ego used to be?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Three young ladies are going to open up a hair lounge. And one of them went to elementary school with my daughter. So
Great.
it's kind of after like 30 years, meeting somebody that was in a class. And they hope to do a nice job there.
We're excited to see another business open, and I know this was, I think the Mill Ego was just like a barber shop.
Yeah, this is more of a family. Everybody's hair can get cut in this place.
Great.
Fantastic. I'll also point out that this is code compliant.
Yep.
This is going, for those who don't remember where the Mill Ego was, this is going what most people now call the new Stop and Shop Plaza, but it's considered Hyde Park Mall is its proper name. And this is going to look like the rest of the signs there. It's going to be backlit, same color, it's code, et cetera. So who has this file?
I do.
Thank you.
Resolution recommending granting of sign permit, artistic hair wall sign, November 15, 2017, Resolution 2017-50, whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board relaxes the standard height of 10 inches to 16 inches, and be it further resolved that the Planning Board recommends approval of the sign permit for the artistic hair wall sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Thanks for coming in, as
Thank
usual.
you.
Well, you know, we like to discuss these new businesses a little bit, since we're televised, and we know people actually watch it because they come and approach us periodically.
Yeah.
So it's a little free advertising for a new business along the way there. Are they ready to open? Do you know?
I think sometime in December, second week
Oh, nice.
in December, I believe that's the time frame they would like the sign installed.
That's fantastic. Good.
So,
That plaza, after being empty for so long, is really almost filled up now. There's the
Radio Shack is open again.
Yep, and there's
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
As
Oh,
Radio
wow.
Shack, or?
No, they're out.
yeah.
The
That's what I
sign's still up, it's gotta come down.
They have
What's
the empty.
in there?
What's
Do you
going
know?
on?
I have no idea.
They haven't come to us for the sign permit, but I know it's been leased. And there's really just the big empty space between the auto parts, AutoZone, and
The dollar store.
Dollar Store
Yeah.
that's left. And I know they're looking for tenants there as well. So, but you see all the activity there. I think it's probably.
It's a buzz.
Yeah, it's not that hard to find a tenant now. So anyway, good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Hope
You
to see
too.
you again for the next sign application there.
Hopefully. Christmas first.
Happy Thanksgiving, Jeff.
Okay, you too.
The next item on the agenda is a release of ESCROW for the Anderson Center for Autism, Dosio for High Street, Allis Estates, and Gomes. And everyone had a chance to take a look at the amounts.
Yep.
Yes.
Shockingly, for the Anderson Center, we had a total of $12,000, even though that's done.
Can't believe haven't been knocking on our door.
I know, and for Mr. Dosio, it was a total of $800, so I'm happy to get these back. Gomes and Allis had actually just $5 each for the traffic engineer we had back then. So I'll make a motion, this is Resolution 17-J, November 15th, 2017, that we refer the amounts to the town board for refunding to the projects as described.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And before we adjourn, under sort of new items, I wanted to discuss just real quickly two things. One, I forwarded to you the response from from Mr. White about Carino. So that wasn't really a response in my opinion.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, the purpose of the scale applications law is so that we get these things moving. And they came before us a year ago to get it moving, and then nothing's happened since. And in his response, he basically said, I'm busy, I can't do anything, Carney can't do it,
And why
nobody
don't
else
you
can
just
do it.
approve it?
And why don't you just, yeah. And to reiterate for the board, the issue is that, as you know from other subdivision applications we have, we're supposed to be showing that there's a buildable area of a lot. And there is a buildable area to this lot. The applicants keep saying it's a no-build application, which the only time we would really have that is if we propose a lot that would be subdivided off for a conservation easement or something where you couldn't build on it. But in this case, the drive to access that portion of the lot that's buildable is through the adjacent area, as the DEC calls it, what we call a buffer to a DEC-regulated wetland. We have a letter on file from years back that says this could be approved, but they need to have more information. But then they never will take the final step to go ahead and go to the DEC to get a permit. That permit, I will point out, as long as you keep renewing it, stays good. So they could do this. So I wanted to put this on, just, anybody want to throw your ideas about here of how I'm supposed to respond to this? Because,
Well, it's on the applicant to provide the additional information, correct?
And there's been
So,
no
so when,
change since last
so
year.
when they respond and they say that, why aren't we approving this? I think the response is, the DEC has told you that they need additional materials in order to make their decision, and we can't make our decision until they make their decision.
And in the response, they said they weren't interested in dealing with DEC, right?
no, because they're probably not going to get it unless they show exactly what they're doing there. Meaning show grading to make sure that nothing would fall into the wetland there, that road salt, et cetera. So, but we can't just let this thing hang out there. I mean, I can make a response saying you still have to move forward or not, but we gave him, as the law requires, 2 months in which to come forth, and that's basically gone. He didn't respond till,
They paid the annual fee August
Mike.
23rd, I believe.
yeah. So there's an annual renewal fee for these applications like this that last and last and last. And Ms. Carino paid it, so that's why I kind of allowed him to go, okay, if it was paid in August, then just come see us before the last meeting in October. Well, here we are in the last meeting in November, and we still don't have anything. We did, and so I need to, that's the thing, is I don't want to burden her.
Right.
So I think what I'd like to do tentatively is compose a response that says, we're going to consider you stale and talk to the town board and see whether the annual renewal fee can be refunded.
Couldn't we possibly establish some sort of a deadline for them to show a path where they're gonna move forward?
That's what the
That's
stale
what-
applications
that's
law
what the 2
does.
months
We
is,
gave
yeah.
them to the end of October, which, because we had them September and
Well,
October.
what I'm saying, I guess, is that we should tell them that this isn't what we were looking for,
Okay,
you know?
Because it's
That-
not.
That would be my, seeing how we catch.
Well, don't you think they know what we've been looking for? I mean, they've been before us for a very long, I'm not necessarily disagreeing.
I'm sorry, was your question that they didn't know or we
Well,
didn't?
no. But reading his letter, it's not that he was saying, I don't understand what I have to do. Nowhere in there did I walk away with, I don't know what to do. It was,
We're not interested.
we're not interested, I'm too busy, I don't want to
Just to
burden
prove it.
this
I tried to
on.
give it away.
No more.
Reasons why I didn't do it.
Right,
Yes.
and that has nothing to do with
Basically
us.
is what he was putting forth excuses why he
And
didn't.
can we just also say that
That
the
I-
man is a zoning administrator who deals with these types of regulations every single day? He knows that the DEC is not a ruling body, but they hold the strings on certain applications, and this is one of those applications.
Yeah, they need a permit. in
And
order
if
to
they
go-
choose not to deal with them, that's their choice.
Then
I
that
don't think the
basically told
board's
us that
telling
they're
them
not
that
doing
they
it.
have to deal with them, but then you don't get promoted to the next grade if you don't do what you were supposed to do.
Well, I feel as though the two options would be, first for me to, that's not an option. First, I should just respond and say, this is not the response we're looking for. We're looking for you to activate this up again. And then I can tell them that if they don't get it actively going by December, that we'll just either declare it stale or we can deny the application for lack of information.
Or even give us the
A path forward.
idea that they're going to do that stuff.
Right,
That was the purpose.
right.
Wait, remember,
That's what he was trying to
was
get.
they were part of the stale applications law a year ago.
Yeah.
Then they had a year in which to get it going, not really a year, but we gave them that as a grace period, nothing. So then we reminded them when that year was up that it would be declared stale. And instead, Ms. Carino, to protect, I guess, what has gone forth so far, paid the annual renewal fee, which to me meant that they were going to start it up again, but then they haven't. And she paid in August, so we gave them all of September, all of October, just to come in and speak with us, and no one's done that. So I will first just send an email and copy everyone back to Mr. White that this is not an acceptable response that we're looking for. And then I will converse with our attorney, Mr. Rodenhauser, Ms. Polidoro, she's back, to find out what their recommendation is for where we go forward. Because we don't want this dragging out. That's the end of the story. And I can't imagine Ms. Carino wants it dragged out either.
And I just think the point needs to be just restated that we are not holding anything up.
Right.
And we are not We require information, and if the applicant does not furnish the information or does not do his due diligence, then we can't do anything.
Yeah, for newer members, if we were to approve this subdivision being a no disturbance, and then years later, anybody who bought it went to the DEC to say, hi, I'm going to get my building permit, I need my permit now, and the DEC said no, then all sorts of legal mayhem can ensue, including that would go off the tax rolls, right off, because there's no access. So he could conceivably sue the town, certainly sue, I can't imagine if someone would buy it without doing more due diligence, but you never know with cash offers. So anyway, thanks there for the direction. And then just real quickly on the Bellafield Hotel application, we did have an offline meeting. Just to summarize briefly, they've resubmitted to DOT, they've resubmitted to DOH, Department of Health, for the confirmation of their flow numbers for their septic. You have copies of, Cynthia forwarded what they sent us to the State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO. Mr. Rodenhausen believes that the email we received that was forwarded from Mr. Boudreau, the applicant's engineer, is enough to go through. DEC has never responded, and the 3-day circulation period has long since lapsed. We noted that the SWIP is going to need revisions for the new wastewater treatment plant. And also, when we've been talking about variances, Ms. Moss and Ms. Van Tile went back through and examined what the code actually states, which is that only buildings and parking cannot be within the 150-foot buffer off 9 or the 250-foot buffer off Dorsey. It does not say structures, which means then that a sign, fences, and underground holding tanks, which are all structures under our code, don't need variances. This is good.
That's good.
And they're not going to propose any subdivision at this time. They're going to formally withdraw their subdivision application. Part of the reason, Ms. Weiser and Ms. DiNapoli were present here. Part of the reason is because they were first going to draw a very funny-looking, kind of dumbbell-looking plot to subdivide, but then they'd have to re-subdivide it again in the future. In the meantime, they're just going to have the Shaner Group, assuming we approve this, pay a kind of lease fee until they're ready to own it. So, and the good news about having the central wastewater treatment plant is once that's up and running, future development won't need to go through DEC for speedies or anything else because it'll be grandfathered. So they anticipate submitting sometime early next week or late, I should say that. They're going to submit late this week, we believe, for the public hearing we adjourned to December 6th. So they still need to give us the noise mitigation plan. They still need to give us a narrative for why they're going to exceed the light pole height. And that's about it. Any questions? Nope. Anything else on the agenda or new business? None? Making a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all, and a happy Thanksgiving to everybody here tonight.
And you. Thanksgiving.
What is it called?
Don't forget.